Hey guys, Leo here. I just thought I would go through a couple of things. We're talking about our membership models. We're talking about raising some funds to get us through this runway so that we can focus on growth, sign up more members, and make the system profitable. The product that we're delivering now is the product. It's Remote Help Nerds, Inside Nerds, Outside Nerds. We have the Technology Center upstairs. It's doing all of the repairs. We're doing the nerd visits and one-to-ones and remote sessions, and everybody's happy. All of the members are happy. The nerds are happy. So I feel like I've finally gotten us to the point where this is a scalable, workable system. The other day we decided we needed some more outside nerds. We put a quick job posting together and hired 3 new outside nerds just within a week. So the resources are there. The high school and college students are there. The pay that we're offering them, $10 an hour to start, and then they get a raise of $1 annually on their anniversary date. And they sign up for the hours. They work the member center. They work as inside nerds. They work the remote help desks. We just set them up with a Jive phone. They work from their house with a computer connection, an internet connection. Then the outside nerds are paid kind of like an Uber. So they tell us when they're available. When we schedule them to go on site, we charge the member and then pay them. Everybody is following the processes. Every now and then there's a little bit of tweaking or a little bit of reminding to do it, which I think we're just going to have to plan on that. We're going to have management in each one of the member centers that's always making sure that the nerds are following the processes. They want to do their best, and they're trying. They're working hard all the time, but every now and then they'll get in a hurry or just forget or whatever. So they do need a reminder. As we develop a system, though, that like Mark and I have been talking about, of our own proprietary system instead of utilizing HubSpot, it's going to be a lot easier because it'll just be clicking boxes and following the, kind of paint by numbers, in doing the Gizmo Circle of Care and the NDA CRR and the Gizmo guides and everything else. So all of their processes will be more guided as we move forward and develop our own solution. But for the foreseeable future, I'm fine with us continuing to use HubSpot. I think it's a good solution. It works well. The nerds like it. Nobody complains. And we're getting the work done in a very timely manner, in a way that's acceptable to the members. So something I wanted to talk about, since this is kind of important, we charge, we come up with how much we charge our members. So we didn't just make up $99 a month for our membership prices. We calculated that $99 a month. So the way we've built that, and I've read several books on this and talked to several people. So it's all this stuff about profit first, or paying yourself first, or taking money out first, that kind of stuff for entrepreneurs. But the real key to it, to me, was you don't guess about a sales price for your products. You don't inherit one from your competitors or your friends and family, or whatever, the company you just bought. You calculate what your price is, what your unit cost analysis is, and even what your profit is, and you put it into the price of the thing that you're selling. Every day I talk to entrepreneurs and business owners that have no idea where their price came from that they're selling their products for. And then they ask me questions like, well, I really need to hire some assistants to help my sales guys, but I can't seem to afford it, even though we're growing like crazy. And I say, well, where is that assistant salary in the cost, the sales price of your widget? And they look at me kind of funny, like, what? I'm like, if it's not in there, like if there's not some percentage, $1, 50 cents, something like that, in every unit that you sell, that's designed to hire an assistant for so many salespeople periodically, then you'll never have the money to do it. I mean, you're just, you don't have, that's the only revenue you have. So anyway, all that being said, which you guys probably know anyway. So we calculated this, and the way we calculate this is, it's got the the top number, the green number, is gross margin type items. The yellow here is the member center, so it's the physical plant of the member center, and then over here it shows you the percentage of the total revenue. It's like the member center is 7.98%. So rent and utilities and maintenance and food and drinks for entertaining and janitorial and like all of the stuff that's a part of the member center. The back end, we have insurance and professional fees and all of the stuff that makes up the back end costs of these member centers operating out there. And this money, the vision is this money is actually being paid to Neighborhood Nerds Corporate, or Gizmo Cares, really is what we're doing right now, where Gizmo Cares is using its buying power to get all of these services and everything at a reasonable rate, and then reselling them to all of the member centers. So we would be doing all of the bookkeeping for them and the purchasing and receiving and everything, so they don't have to deal with that or managing that. That's a resource to manage that. Down here is the payroll. So this is the personnel that's required to operate a member center at, we're making an assumption here of 1,000 members for a full member center. Now, why did I pick 1,000 members? I just picked 1,000 members. I wanted a number as I jostled around to have a member center generate at least $1 million a year in revenue, because that seems like a good number for a little retail store, is to say, we're doing $1 million a year in revenue, and 1,000 members works out, and then the occupancy of the nerds seems to work out. So, putting 4 nerds in a member center, doing 4 one-to-ones at the same time all day long, seems reasonable in 1,000 square foot space. So that's kind of, it's kind of looking at it from usage and design and logistics, and also this target number of $1 million a year. Anyway, so as we change these numbers, it changes this number here. This is the actual number that's the computed by all of these things. So it's making an assumption that we have 1,000 members. We're saying we have 4 remote help nerds, and then you can look over here in the tabs to see why we pay the remote help nerds as much as we do. 1 outside nerd for the all-inclusive membership, so that outside nerd is covered to run out and take care of the things that members might need. And these are just things that are like, it was working and stopped working, so going over and resetting a printer, cycling power on something, doing whatever. Now, if the outside nerd, as part of the all-inclusive, goes to a member's house and it's like, well, it's not what we were thinking, the member doesn't have to pay for that diagnostics visit or that fee or, that trip of that outside nerd. Now, the outside nerd, though, may say, well, this isn't really just resetting something or fixing this problem. This is a whole new problem, and we need a different solution for that. So I'm going to get the guys and gals to send you a recommendation. So they'll get a recommendation written with a cost associated with it. Inside nerds, like we talked about, I've gotten rid of account manager assistants because I don't really think we need them. An account manager, my vision of that's kind of an inside salesperson that's at each one of the member centers. Their job would be doing the, coordinating the tech talks and the podcasts and all of the activities that happen at a member center, and making sure the members are always engaged. So they're inside sales. They're trying to sell all of our services. The member center manager, right now we're saying we have a full-time resource that's going to be a member center manager. Truth is, Daniel's doing a phenomenal job, and all we did with him was, he's a nerd that we said, we'll pay you $100 extra a week to be the member center manager. And he runs weekly stand-up meetings. He does all the reviews. He helps with the hiring. I mean, he's doing a great job. We're paying him $100 a week extra to get that out of him. So then when you look at the back end, it's adding all these things up. So it's saying, we have 1,000 members, and here's the cost, for insurance annually, professional fees. We're just kind of budgeting all this stuff. And then it breaks it down into per member cost, and then comes up with a number to say, for 1,000 members, this is the cost that each one of them would have to pay for these services. Member center, so we got rent, $60,000 a year, which I think is acceptable. I think that's going to work pretty much anywhere in the foreseeable future that we're going to be. We're probably going to run into some spots where it's going to be a little more than that. And, if that's the case, then we'll just may have to increase membership costs in different areas of the country based on, the increase in costs of delivering services. Internet, hardware, that's like computers and printers and stuff that might be in the member center that annually need to be replenished. Remodeling the member center annually, maintenance on the member center annually, and these, janitorial and food and drinks and stuff. These are conservative numbers. I think we'll be operating at much lower cost than this, but again, $7.85 per member per month to make that happen. Now, the top part is we have said we have a kingdom fund. So this is something that's not really negotiable. The whole reason for setting this thing up was to have it operate on its own, have it out there taking care of people, hopefully laying off some cash to us, making us profit so that we're making money off of everything that's working out in the field. But another big part of it for me and Mark and Cliff, who was part of Gizmo Cares Inc., is having these kingdom funds. So annually, this member center from the membership revenue sets aside $127,000 annually to do good in the local community. So we want it doing, and we've borrowed from, scripture, and we're trying to, what would Jesus do kind of stuff. So being kind and loving and taking care of people that can't take care of themselves, and that's just going to be part of the purpose of the business existing, is doing this local care in the community. Profit is $112,000 a year at 1,000 members, and that is divided up. We suggest that you divide that up, a half going to the owners, a quarter to the member center staff, then a quarter going to support GTC. I don't think that part's required. GTC is Gizmo's Technology Center is perfectly capable of being a profit center. It doesn't require any funds from the membership revenue. Owner's comp. So this is everybody that owns, if you own shares in Neighborhood Nerds, this is the dollars, $74,000 a year per member center that is being distributed to the members. Owner's tax, this is to pay the taxes for the money that's distributed to you, so that it's grossed up by that amount so that you get a net of that amount. Growth fund, we set aside $18,000 a year out of the membership to service debt if we're borrowing money. So we could probably borrow, a few $100,000. But I really think that that's going to be just going into a fund that we will loan to future member center operators that want to launch a new member center in an area. We should have a fund that we build up over time that they borrow from, and then we charge them interest on paying it back. This is the franchise fee. So annually they pay us $37,000 back to GCI for the franchise. Commission is a number that's set aside, and that's for paying all associated sales resources, like anybody that's a salesperson or resources or whatever. We set aside $37,000. The unplanned is really just a roundup. So whenever I had this all figured out, I just kept bumping this number up until this jumped up to $99, basically, just to round up to a clean number. So this is like extra money that we haven't really determined what the use of it is. But as soon as we do, then it'll be categorized. I don't want to really try to leave anything as unplanned or whatever. Also, whenever I mentioned sales, we do have a sales number down here of $20,000 per member center that is going just towards sales, with $6,000 a year going towards advertising and marketing. So that's what it looks like whenever it's running full steam. And this is, of course, with all-in-one clients. If you add the $69 a month clients in there, basically you're just getting rid of the outside nerd. and that drops it down to that $69 a month. And when you do that, we have to account for all of the nerd visits that we're charging for. And, there's nerd visits that we're charging for this $99 a month plan too, that aren't counted in here. So this is just strictly the membership revenue. And these are the numbers we use to calculate the membership revenue. So that's another thing, is our budget comes from this, because your budget shouldn't be something like, well, we made a bunch of money, let's budget it to how we're going to spend it. It should be, why did we make a bunch of money? And the structure that calculated that should be your budget, right? So that's how this is set up. Now, if we look at this thing, not this thing, this thing, the nerd cash flow projections, these are actual numbers from 2020. So these are the income numbers from Stripe. So this is just straight out of Stripe, and it doesn't count some of the money that we received, because some of the money that we received came through QuickBooks because people wrote us checks, and Stripe never saw those funds. But this was quick and easy for me to grab this out of Stripe and say, this was the revenue from Stripe monthly. These are the real numbers for the WP Engine hosting, the MyCloud IT, which is our virtual machines that we've sold to some of the business clients that cost us a monthly fee, and then we get paid for that. These are our real numbers for our Jive phones, our CRM, our HubSpot, Slack, Datto, which is Autotask. We have GBM is what I'm labeling this. This is what we've paid for resources to do social media and website and print some materials for us and stuff like that. These are the actual numbers this year. The bookkeeping, we pay $2,000 a month right now to have this member center taken care of, and that's the thing. We would collect $2,000 a month from a member center to do this function, and it would quickly, it's going to cost us a lot less than this to actually do it. We'll just have a full-time resource that's just handling the bookkeeping processes for all the member centers. And a ton of it ought to be automated anyway. We're doing a lot of stuff by hand right now that we shouldn't be doing, but I just haven't had the time to figure out how to automate some of this stuff. Rent, the space is costing us this much each month. Utilities, internet, this is our actual insurance, the business license, franchise, excise, taxes, and property taxes, and sales and use tax. We don't charge sales and use tax on the membership dues because we're classified as a help desk in Tennessee, so we don't collect or pay sales and use tax on that. But anything we do where we put parts in a machine, a computer, or we install something, Tennessee says as soon as we lay hands on something, it becomes a taxable event. So they want us to collect and pay sales and use tax. Most of our work, though, is still just consulting, basically. The nerds aren't actually doing something to a device. Whenever they go to someone's home or office, they're just talking to them, maybe writing a document and submitting it to them. Yard signs, this is about what we spent on yard signs and postcards and Facebook ads, all the stuff, the website hosting, which is actually part of WP Engine, but we're breaking it out to say that's what we would charge somebody, is $25 a month. MC Manager, like I said, we're paying $100 a week extra to Daniel to be our MC Manager, and then we have the Account Manager function isn't really. I just put that in there. We didn't really spend that on an Account Manager. Inside Nerds, Outside Nerds. These are the actual payroll numbers for the Inside Nerds, Outside Nerds, Remote Help Nerds, Workman's Comp, and payroll taxes. So those are the real numbers. So this is the total, expenses, the profit and loss. You can see kind of how that's tracking across there. So what we want to do is we want to say, if we actually execute on a plan in 2021 where we're investing money on a sales and growth effort, what does that return look like? How quickly can we sign up members? And I'm hoping for 2, 3, 4, 5 a day is what we get in the rhythm of signing up. And then as we sign them up, of course, that's more monthly revenue. So at some point out here in the future, this number is going to break even. Right now we're at 100 members or something. So when we get to 250, 300 members, that's when we're going to break even. And we just got to see, we want to project that. So that's what Jim is helping with. And I really want to show the investors, because I would want to see this. What is this plan going to be? How are you going to grow the business? What do those costs look like? What's your cost of acquisition of new clients? What's your lifetime value of these new members? Which Stripe tells us some of that stuff. I can show you on Stripe. So like Stripe shows us like our gross volume, shows us like what we're doing today. Down here it's got like it calculates lifetime value all the time. So every time it's like looking at how long members stick around and how much money we've collected from them, then it figures out a lifetime value per subscriber. I don't know enough about this kind of stuff to like really look at this chart and tell a ton about it. But it looks like our cost of acquisition after a conversation with Zane will be less than $100, for cost of acquisition. So if Stripe is using real numbers here to tell us lifetime value all the time, and if our cost of acquisition is less than $100, I mean, it seems like a winning proposition. And if we believe our projections here, which we're actually ahead of our projections, we're outperforming what this thing says, so I have no reason not to believe it, then we should be very profitable on this, on these ventures. And if we had 3 member centers open by the end of the year and generating $3.5 million, something like that, and paying all of us, splitting up to the owners this owner's comp and the profit, and it would be net because the taxes are being collected and paid by the company. That'd be a pretty good return for pushing this thing through to profitability. Then it'll just continue to grow. And then what I've heard is like whenever you hit about 45 franchises or like member centers out there operating, you're going to start getting approached by VCs that want to buy the model. And if we have it locked down enough where I'm secure in the fact that it won't be destroyed, that it'll keep doing good in the world, I would entertain offers. At that point, it's probably going to be, hundreds of millions of dollars maybe to buy it, if it's on that trajectory. And then we cash out and move on to the next thing. But I wanted to explain this, like kind of how I calculated the membership dues, and then show you where we're actually showing the real results here. And the only reason it's not in QuickBooks is a little complex right now because it's GCI that's tracking everything, and it's got a lot of stuff in there that's not Neighborhood Nerds. And it's a little confusing to look at because it's got, my real estate stuff flows through it. It's got my engineering business, any projects that I've done go through it. It has any of the company design stuff where we've done consulting, goes through it, so it's got a lot of other revenue flowing through it that's not part of Neighborhood Nerds. So that's why I'm trying to get this out here and make it nice and clean. And then I'm hoping Jim and I can figure out how to take this and go back to a very clean version of QuickBooks to say, this is what we want to track. This is what we want to know going forward. Anyway, sorry for such a long video. Love you guys. Really appreciate all the help that you're putting into this. And I look forward to us making a whole lot of money, but also just making a whole lot of people happy. I mean, happy nerds, happy members, happy investors. I mean, this is going to be a really cool thing to see grow up and be successful. Get out there and live and breathe on its own. Thanks.